So, welcome to the day 13 session. Today, we are going to have a discussion on briefly first how to handle Excel files and how to generate our own logs, thus completing the components of framework. And then we are going to have a discussion on the types of framework and have a look at some of the commercial frameworks available out there and take an assignment for framework design. So the first thing we are going to learn about is how to handle a Excel file with Python. So Excel is one of the most used external document interface by testers. So it is important to understand how you can use Python as a language to work with Excel files, which is primarily to read data from an Excel file or write data to an Excel file. So the Excel file basically is available to us at a physical location in our computers, and this Excel file is associated with what we call as a workbook. A workbook is associated with worksheets. Worksheets are associated with rows and columns. An intersection of a row and column is called a cell. So this is an Excel file. This entire thing is known as a workbook. The workbook is associated by default with 3 worksheets. Every worksheet has got rows and columns. An intersection of a row and column is called as a cell. And it is here in the cell we basically are going to read data from or write data to. Okay, it is here in this Excel file we are going to read data from or write data to. So what we are going to do is we are going to first we are going to first install a module called as OpenPyXL. So go to your command prompts and say go ahead and install this module on your systems, and then we will proceed forward. Once you have installed it, I have created an Excel file called as sample.xlx at the D drive. So you guys can also go ahead and create an Excel file in any of your locations. So basically this file contains some data. You can also add some data in that file, or maybe wait because are going to write data. So create a file in one of your drives and name that file something. So let me remove these columns because I'm going to create them again. Yeah. So what I am going to do is, here note that the name of my worksheet is called data sheet. Okay, there are two sheets available. The first worksheet name I have changed to data sheet. The second worksheet name is new data. So there are two worksheets available, data sheet and new data. Data sheet contains these data sets: sample data, data sample 2, 3, some numbers, some random values, some random junk values the data sheet contains, and new data is currently empty. So there are two worksheets associated. I have changed their names. Then we import first workbook, the module load workbook, get column letter from open py excel package. Then the first thing we do is we create the workbook component by calling load workbook, and we provide our file name, which is the path to my Excel file. Then I create my first worksheet to be workbook, access the worksheet, data sheet. Second worksheet to be workbook, access the second worksheet, new data. So worksheet 1 and worksheet 2. Then I am going to read information. So for row in WS row, so that is the first worksheet. Then for every cell in row, first identify rows in the worksheet. Then for every cell in row, print cell value. So this is simply going to print or read the information from the worksheet and print that on the console window. This program is just going to do that. Sharing this small code, try this out on your system. Create an Excel file, change the name of the worksheet, provide some data in there and try this code. This is called reading of the data from Excel file. Try this out. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Yes, Puneet? Uh, pip command is not working for you. How did you install the earlier modules? Go to the scripts directory of your Python. Go to the place where Python is installed and go to the scripts directory. I think you have pip there. You already have used pip to install earlier modules. Done? Okay, Monica. Now we are going to try writing the data. So for writing the data, this is what we have to do. One way to write the data is say worksheet followed by the name of the cell and the line, and then you save the workbook. That is one way to write the data. Another way we are going to generate the data, that is how we are going to do it. We create a variable I is equal to 1. Then for row in range 1 to 10. For column in range 1 to 10. So row will take values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So will the column take values. Then we say in the worksheet cell, put the values in the column which is equal to col, row is equal to row, put the value I and increment I by I plus 1. So first for each row, pick the columns from 1 to 10 and in the columns 1 to 10, put the value like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Keep on incrementing I. Then go to the second row. Then for second row, all the 10 columns, put the values there and so on and so forth. So when I run this program now, if we look at our Excel sheet, this is changed and in the new data we have this values filled. So first row, second row, third row, fourth row and so on and so forth. Make sense to you guys? If you want, I can change this. Let's close our Excel sheet. Let's run the program again to see if this is changed. Okay, so this gets changed. Puneet, here is the Excel file. There are two worksheets, data sheet, new data. Here we have created random data. Here we are data which you see right now here is getting created through the program. Karthik, are you able to do these exercises in your system? For Mac, do you have Excel or you have some other form of Excel? You have numbers. Numbers mean what? I'm sorry, not aware. Numbers. Okay. So the name of the package is called as numbers. Okay. Let me see. I think you might have to convert the data to a CSV file and then work with it. I mean, with a brief Google, that's what I could fetch. You have to convert the file to a CSV file and then work with it. So you already know how to work with CSV file. But if you have a Windows machine, then try this in that. All of you are able to read the data from an Excel file and write the data to an Excel file. All of you are able to read and write to an Excel file. Okay, trying. Let me know when you guys are done. Monica, accept the presenter request. Okay. Close the
I
file.
don't know what this permission.
Your
Okay,
file is already open. Close it.
okay.
Now run the program again.
Can you trust none?
Okay?
Okay,
Fine.
okay.
Puneet, you done? Do you have a question? Or is it clear to you? Okay. So we are now going to talk about the concept of logging. So logging as a concept is important because generation of logs is very helpful activity which helps us in mainly in the debugging perspective. So for example, you have executed an entire test automation suite for a nightly run. How the suite behaved, let's say there are some errors. So the logs which are generated during the execution of the suite or any activity can help you effectively to debug the situation. Also, logging is something which should not be given to every automation tester to develop their own way of logging. It should be a standard procedure. So by default, Python comes with this module name is called logging. The first thing we do is we create and configure the logger object. The logger object is the object which basically sets and starts the logging activity at the file level. So we set the basic config method where we provide the file name, the format, time, message, and the file mode to be A plus. A plus basically means in the append mode. Sorry, so every time the logs are generated, they are not overwritten, they are in the append mode. Then we create the logger object by saying logging.getLogger. Then we set the logger level. So I am going to set it to the log level of debug. Then we write down our messages. So there are different flags available to us. So logger dot debug error info log etc warning. So there are different flags available. So you can set the level to debug, info, warning, error and critical. Okay, and send some message with the logger object. Now when I run this program, in my file new file.log, these logs will get appended with the current time format. So this is the current date. So you can see there were some previous logs also generated, new logs with the timestamp and some messages. Okay, do you get this? Is this clear, guys? Yeah, I'm sharing the code. So try this out. Generate your logs. Go ahead and share it. Go ahead and do it, please. Done? Okay, great. Okay, let's say if you want to add the level name also for the logs so that you know that the logs which you have generated belong to which level. So you want to mention the level, the flag also. So you can use this level name. The information about what all log record objects you can use is available in here, okay? So these are the different parameters you can use. So this is the module of the logs. So you can read this and get more information. Okay. So basically I have just used, you can try this out. Change your basic config to my basic config and see that the log level name is also getting inputted now. Done? Great. Okay. So what all we have seen, let us try to revisit. We have learned how to read information from external files, whether they were CSV or a text file or a database or an Excel. We have learned all of this. Then we have learned how to generate the logs. We have learned about the page object model to capture the page object information, etc. So these are all important components of any good framework design. So we are now going to see and have a look at the different types of frameworks available, and as an assignment, which is basically an assignment to your certificate completion, I'm going to give you guys an assignment and will give you enough hand holding points to tell you how you can go about it to create a very simple, um, let's try keyword driven framework with the concepts which we have learned. It is not difficult, or if you find that difficult, we can go for hybrid also. So either of the frameworks design we will do with very basic concepts which we have learned. And you have also learned about exception handling, right? So these are all the important components for any good framework design which we should have in place. Okay. So now let us have a look at what do we mean by a framework and what are the different types of frameworks available and some of the commercial frameworks which are available out there. So an automated test framework may be loosely defined as a set of abstract concepts, processes, procedures and environment in which automated tests are going to be designed, created and implemented. In addition, it includes physical structure which are used for test creation and implementation. So not only it contains physical structures like you have created scripts to handle page objects, to handle data handling, you also have to ensure the logical interactions among them. So in actual automation implementation, we basically find common test scenarios which we require, the need to handle the data, and then we create the scripts in such a manner that the change which are required at the script level is reduced with every testing cycle. The idea of a framework is to ensure that the change required at the test automation suite level is minimum with every testing cycle, so that with every testing cycle we get a very good return on investment. So any open source tool require a framework implementation. Ideally, we should not go for automation without having a framework at hand. Whether we create by default or we buy a commercial framework, that is a decision left up to us. But we should have a framework in place whenever we are working with open source solutions. So, in any good framework which we are going to design, we should have the following layers taken care of. We should have a resource layer where we are taken care of the environment variables, configuration files, object repository, data table, recovery scenario, cleanup scripts. Then we should have a driver script which is supposed to derive information and run code which is available to us in function library. The function library takes care of generic function, for example, string handling, mathematical function, file handling function, etc. Business function which are specific to the application, extended function which are taking care of the third party tools like talking to the external data sources, Bugzillas, etc. Then reporting and logging layer, where you have reports, logs, defect report and exception notification available. All these layers lying above any underlying automation tool set. So this is the basic architecture of any good test automation framework. Now the test automation frameworks come into these varieties. Either you do not have a framework in place. For example, the way which we were coding initially, which we have learned before we learned about page object models, there was no structure in place. So then there is no framework. This is not a good approach. Then we have got a basic framework in place, which is modular framework, in where at least we have included modularity at the code level. So the repetitive code are created into functions and are being called. Then we have got a data driven framework. In a data driven framework, we basically are reading information from external data sources. Then we have got hybrid framework. In hybrid framework, we basically have a combination of a modular framework and a data driven framework, which is created to form a hybrid framework in place. And then we have got a keyword driven framework in which there is another layer of abstraction available where functions are mapped to keywords. So these are the different frameworks available to us. The most commonly implemented frameworks you will find are hybrid framework and a keyword driven framework. In a hybrid framework, the data is stored in external data sources. You have got function library files available, and then you create your test script by reading information from the data source and the library files and design your test case scripts for execution. Similarly, you have got keyword driven framework. For example, this looks like an external interface or the GUI interface of a keyword driven framework where you have got a list of keywords available. Then you have got locator information available and the data available for you to pass. Okay, is this clear? The concept of framework? The different types of frameworks: hybrid, keyword, data driven, modular. Why these names? Why having a framework is important? Anyone has any question? On what basis we choose which framework? Okay. The basis for choosing a framework is you either have to make a choice between a hybrid or a keyword driven framework. A keyword driven framework allows active participation of your business analyst or manual testers as well, because the framework has the test cases in that framework have to be designed using these keywords. So this is something which is code free. So your analyst or manual tester is easily able to identify this type of an interface and work with it. And many commercial frameworks are also keyword driven framework. A hybrid framework is a framework which is generally going to be your first step, where you basically do not require active participation of manual testers, and you are all engineers in your team who are going to create and even use that automation framework to run your test. Another reason is the type of application. If your application is domain specific, then it means then you may require analyst or manual testers knowledge in automation as well and their active participation. Then maybe it is a good idea to develop a keyword driven framework. And if your application is a more of a traditional application like an e-commerce application or a travel application, then you may go with the hybrid framework. Is this okay, Puneet? Okay. So there is this link, there is this nice website which talks in detail about what do we mean by frameworks, what are the advantages like maintainability, scalability, reusability, which one to select, why to select keyword driven or data driven or page object or hybrid. And then they basically have got demo frameworks available on this hybrid and page object framework. So they basically have an entire code available, but this code base which they have created is created using BDD, and the BDD for Python is known as Behave, about which we will talk when we are going tomorrow and day after we are going to talk about BDD Behave. But I don't want you guys to use BDD Behave in the framework design for the assignment which I'm going to give you. But nevertheless, you will have this. So you can, whenever you start working on it, you can have this code base and understand how they have designed. So let us start talking about how will we design a type of a framework which we require. So you have a choice between developing a hybrid framework or a keyword driven framework. I would leave that decision up to you. If you want to develop both the frameworks, then go ahead and develop both the frameworks. That is again a choice up to you. So how will you go about it? First, understand what are the different modules you will have to build. So you will have to build logs, you will have to build data handling, you will have to build page objects for object handling. You will have to then build test cases. Okay, which will consume them. Now let us talk about keyword driven framework. Hybrid, you guys can figure it out on yourself. Let's talk about a keyword driven framework. In a keyword driven framework, you will have an Excel interface. Okay, the Excel interface which you will have this keyword, argument 1, argument 2. Let us take a simple test case, a simple interface where you will have to automate the login logout scenario which is displayed in the form of a keyword driven framework. So open application URL, click my account link. Here you provide the object locator, email address, username, password, sign in button, log off link, continue link. So you will have an interface like this. So instead of using the shortcut which I have shown you, you are going to use the actual locator values. Fine. Now, what is the first step you should be doing? You should be able to read this Excel file row by row, extract each cell value. Let me take a snapshot for it and save it so that you guys have a reference. Sorry. So what are your steps? Your steps is first you should be able to read the Excel file and fetch each cell from a row. Then you should have a keyword library file available. So you should have a file and you will have all these functions open, which takes as argument URL, and in here you are actually calling the function driver.get URL. Then you will have a keyword called as type where you have got object info and data, and in that keyword you are actually going to call and then the method send keys and so on and so forth. So you will have got a keyword library file where all your keywords are created. So when you read the first row, you encounter the open keyword, then you call this open function. Similarly, you call the second row, read the second row and you encounter the type keyword, so you call this type keyword. Then how you should be able to use the object info by reading this locator information, that is something you will have to handle. And then you should have logs created at every file for every method. So your final test case will basically be a unit test case which will be using all these files to call a simple login logout script. That is your keyword driven approach. In your hybrid framework approach, you basically have to take care of reading data from Excel or CSV file, depending upon what type of operating system you have, and creation of page object models. So you basically come across and you create the, first of all you identify the flow. Let us say the flow is login logout. Then you create the page objects. You write a script to handle data. You create a script for global variables. You create logs, and then you start writing your test cases which reads information from all these different ventures. Okay, so this should be your approach, and you can take help of this link, download the hybrid framework code base, but you will be able to only understand this code base after our session's end, that is once we cover BDD as well. But I don't want you to implement BDD in doing this hybrid or keyword driven framework. So as an assignment, create hybrid or keyword driven framework for the website new tools and automate the following flows: register user, login, logout, buy flight ticket. This is your final assignment. This is your final assignment. The URL of the website is here. You first have to register yourself as a user. Then once you have registered, you have to sign on. Okay. Okay, forget this site. We will work on our own site only. Sorry about that. So that site is not working. So let's leave it. We'll take our own site and we are going to automate the flows. These four flows we are going to build with the framework. So there is no right or wrong answer in here, guys. I just want to see your approach. So it's basically a culmination of everything we have learned. So I would just like to see your approach, how much of good, what type of coding you guys are going to do. Remember to put comments, and there should be a Word document accompanying your assignment where you basically tell me and explain me the structure of your code, and then so that when I have a look at your code files, I should be able to understand it. And with every test automation run, there should be logs generated telling at the different levels. For example, right now we are creating the page object or we are reading information from an Excel file. Now we are calling the actual step on the browser. So logging should be pretty much effective. Is this clear? The assignment which you guys have to do. No, you don't have to do it by tomorrow. You have to submit it to me by July end. Or whenever you guys submit it, you will get the certification. Yeah, this will be mailed, don't worry. Everything is always mailed. I've sent you mails thrice, Puneet. You have not received any mails. From which day you have not received any mails?
I was sending you email again and again for the same thing actually.
Every mail is sent to you twice or thrice. See, this is your ID, right?
Yeah,
Check your spam.
but but you are already added. It should not go to spam.
That's okay.
Okay,
Sometimes still
I will have a
mail
look.
goes to spam. Check your spam. Every mail which after I have received your mail, I have replied back to you and I have sent you mails again.
Okay, I am checking right away. Maybe I will tell you
Okay,
when we end the
check.
class.
Fine.
Thank you.
Sorry. It cannot be the same code, Monica. Remember page object models? We created like 3, 4 files. So it is not one single file which you are going to create. Never. There are going to be different modules taking care of logs, taking care of data reading, taking care of page objects, taking care of actual test case design. For example, this page object model code, if you, I'll just tell you, it's okay with me. This page object model is actually an implementation of a hybrid framework, except the fact it doesn't have logs. Second thing, the data which we are passing in here is hard coded. The data being passed from here is hard coded. So you can learn to parameterize this, put logs in here, and then you basically have a hybrid page object model framework available. Okay. So we have automated already change profile and login logout. You can try for the rest of the code. That is one main major hint. Okay. So let us have a look at some of the commercial frameworks which are available out there. So Selenium, there are a lot of organizations which are working on framework design for Selenium, and they works with other tool also. For example, Qualicia, Opkey. Then right now, a very famous free solution is available called as Catlon, and then so on and so forth. So if you have a look at these tools, for example, if you have a look at Catlon, you can go ahead and download the Catlon Studio. It provides you with a nice keyword driven framework interface where it allows you to basically record your script, start from scratch, then you get all these keywords available and your test cases get created with objects being captured, data being captured, etc. So you can have a look at this Catlon Studio, or you can have a look at this tool called as Qualicia. It basically is a tool which can be used with Selenium, APM and UFT. Then you have a tool called as Opkey. Then if you want to not use any tools but you want to not take care of uh, lab management, that means you want to run your test on cloud, then you basically have something called as Sauce Labs. So not as an assignment but something you would want to explore on your own. I would suggest you guys strongly to go ahead and explore some of these tools. You can try some of these tools on a free basis. So go ahead, download their free version or create an account to a free account on these websites so that you guys can go ahead and see the interface of these commercial tools. Okay. Did I ask you guys to join Selenium Google group? No, not yet. Okay, sorry about that. It is always a good idea to be a part of a larger community. So go ahead and join the Selenium Google group. It's the user group or the official user group for Selenium. So go ahead and join this Selenium Google group. You will find lot of people out there helping. And then there are many, are you guys on LinkedIn? So if you have not yet connected to me, you can connect to me on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn also there are a lot of groups out there, user groups, where people use Selenium and they have created these Selenium Google groups. So you can be part of these groups and seek help or give help as and when needed or required. So with all of this, we kind of complete our knowledge on Selenium with Python. When we meet tomorrow, we are going to start with an entirely new concept called as BDD. Anyone in here aware of BDD or Cucumber? Okay, fine, not a problem. So before tomorrow's session, there is this one link which I would request you guys to read. It will take you 5-10 minutes. It's basically an introduction on TDD and BDD. So just have a look at it. So just take 5-10 minutes. It will take you guys to read this. So just read this information. And whatever is required for system setting, I will tell you tomorrow. It won't take much time. So we can do it with the class. Anyone has any question? Anything which is not clear? You found all of them in spam. Great. That's okay. Okay, Karthik. Good to know that. Yeah, we are done for the day. I am asking you guys if you have any questions. Okay, Puneet. Sure. Okay then guys, thank you so much for your time today. I will see you guys tomorrow. And tomorrow we start with BTD, so it will be interesting. So see you tomorrow, guys. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.